shouldn't be a teacher at Mesa or anywhere else, frankly. But so many of our parents have never heard good things from their school. We want to change that ratio. And the last thing that we do is we're very, very open to the feedback from parents. So parents tell us, this isn't working, my kid is telling me that he's struggling with this. We bring them in, we have conversations, we have meetings with them, and we maintain that ongoing dialogue. So I don't want to say that we have solved all of the problems or any problems, because as I said, 3 months old, so who knows. But we think we're moving in the right direction. We had our first set of exams today. It was exciting, it was scary. We'll see what happens, but we feel pretty good about it. And in trying to do something with a high school that's unique and that we don't see a lot, we know just how important this work is. So I want to thank everyone here for their time. I know we're all tired and busy and cold, but this is an important conversation to have, and I feel really privileged for being able to be a part of it. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Arthur Samuels. I got even 3 months old. The parent engagement and the community engagement piece, extremely important, and you guys are doing great work down at Mesa Charter High School. Thank you. With that, and I've also been trying to get Raphael Espinal to help me paint my house for the longest time. I don't know how you guys did it. Great job. I'd like to introduce our fifth presenter this evening, Morgan Altman. Morgan is the math instructional coach at Girls Prep Bronx, located in Hunts Point. In her 10th year of teaching in New York City charter schools, Morgan is dedicated to supporting teachers to critically reflect upon both the content and the pedagogy of teaching and learning math in an effort to support students to learn math with understanding. So please give a big round of applause for Ms. Morgan Altman.
1 second, that's my chart paper that fell. I'm actually gonna hold that.
You gonna hold it?
Yeah, that would be great.
That's even better.
Thank you. Do I need to put this on me? That's fine. Hi everyone. I'm really happy to be here tonight, and it's such a pleasure hearing everybody talk. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a math practice that we use up at Girls Prep Bronx. And I want to start by asking you if you've ever seen a student, an early elementary student. Oh, I do need it. Thanks. An early elementary student do something like this when they're presented with the problem of solving 10 minus 7. You watch them do this. Set it up using a standard algorithm, and then they go, oh, well, I cannot take 7 from 0, which is not actually true anyways. So they go like this. I'm going to borrow. Here, a little rhyme. I'm going to go next door and borrow this 1. I'm going to turn this into a 10. And they're still stuck with the same problem. And they're still sitting there. They turned the same exact problem into the same exact problem, and they can't do it. Traditionally, mathematics, and particularly around operations, has been taught as a memorized set of procedures or a memorized set of facts that are unrelated, they don't make sense to kids, and they can't access them. At Girls Prep Bronx, we really are striving to teach our girls to understand mathematics, particularly around operations. We want our girls to go to college. We want them to graduate from college. We want them to go on to successful careers. And a lot of this depends on them staying in school and staying in the practice of mathematics. And because in early elementary, we're not making connections, kids stop taking math in high school and certainly stop taking math in college. So we're starting that process and building that foundation so they can stay in math and get the jobs and careers that they really want to do. So let me jump into my slideshow. So I'm going to be talking about a practice that's called number talks. So what is a number talk? It's a short routine where students engage in conversations around purposely crafted computation problems. So these are very short routines, 10 or 15 minutes a day, and we try to do them on a daily basis. The problems are designed to elicit specific strategies that focus on number relationships and number theory. And And just to highlight that this is really about conversation, and I think it goes back to a lot of what people are talking about relationships. This is not just about the teacher giving information to kids and expecting them to understand it. It's about kids talking with the teacher, it's about kids talking with each other about these mathematical concepts and problems. Oh, sorry. Students learn to solve problems accurately, efficiently, and flexibly. And you hear Common Core talk about these things as well. So some of the key components about a number talk. Classroom environment and community. And it takes time building a community. Kids are used to sitting there and listening and not really engaging. And it takes time to build the community and getting them to talk to each other and take the risks in order to engage in these number talks. Classroom discussions. Again, this is not just about teachers saying everything, it's about students actually talking about ideas and being able to reason through their mistakes so they can understand and learn and move forward. The teacher has a very different role. She sort of, or he sort of, steps out of that role of, I'm going to give you a lot of information and you're going to learn it, and they're more of a facilitator and a part of the discussion. These are mental math routines, so students actually don't have paper and pencil in front of them. They're doing all the calculations mentally, and the teacher is acting as the recorder. And the teacher will listen very carefully to what the student is saying and try to get that on paper. But the students themselves are not using paper and pencil during this routine specifically. Again, these are purposeful computation problems, so they're crafted to elicit a specific strategy or an understanding about the numbers that the kids are working with. So students have the opportunity when doing number talks to clarify their own thinking, consider and test other strategies to see if they are mathematically logical, investigate and apply mathematical relationships, build a repertoire of efficient strategies. And here's some reasons why we do number talks at Girls Prep, and I sort of got into this a little bit with my example up here. Number talks are just one approach that we use to support girls in developing fluency. Common Core talks about fluency, and what we understand that as is that kids can add, subtract, multiply, divide, know their facts quickly. But what's important for us at Girls Prep Bronx is that we do that through understanding. That girls become fluent mathematicians because they understand what they're able to do, even math facts. They've built an understanding and then have internalized those math facts. They're not separate little pieces of information anymore. And then the second reason is it allows students to access and grapple with more complex mathematics. I'm sure if you're a middle school or high school teacher, we even see this in elementary school, that kids aren't actually doing the problem solving that you want them to do because they're busy just trying to compute. They're busy just trying to divide numbers, and they haven't even actually gotten to the problem that you want them to do. So, what does fluency look like? Rather than seeing a symbol and automatically setting up a procedure like I did here, students would look at the numbers that are involved and the operation and then reason about them about a strategy. Students will break numbers apart, put them back together, find friendly numbers to work with and compensate, apply properties of operation and knowledge of number relationships, and even kindergartners can do this work. For example, right now, just in your mind, take a minute to think about how you might solve 32 times 17. How many people out there, just by raising your hand, lined it up in an algorithm, in the standard algorithm in your mind, and tried to start doing all the steps of the algorithm? Okay, and it's a viable it's a viable way to solve this problem. But I want to show you a couple things. So, how did you solve it? If you did it that way, could you have done it a different way? Could you have found a second way? And what strategy or model did you use to do that? So it sounds like some of you used, your strategy was to use the standard algorithm. Here's some ways that a student might solve it. So I hope everybody can see this. In this example, so the teacher was recording, and this was the student talking, and she's just recording her thinking. So this student decided to break the numbers up by place value. They thought about 32 as 30 plus 2, and 17 as 10 plus 7. And then they were able to multiply that way. So 30 times 10, they don't have to do written operation because they know that 10 groups of 30 is going to be 300, and they're able to do that quickly. 30 times 7, they probably used their fact of 7 times 3 to help them with that. 2 times 10 is 20, and then 2 times 7 is 14, and then they put all the parts back again to get 544, which is 32 times 17. Below that, the teacher created a model of that student's thinking using an array model. This is an open array model, so it doesn't have the grid inside of it, but it basically, when we think about multiplication, we're thinking about groups of things, which can be represented by area, and that's what this student did. Here's another way. So this is a different way that this student solved the same problem. They're using doubling and halving, basically until they get down to the answer of one group of 544. And they did this math mentally. They were able to break these numbers up and double and halve each number until they got all the way down to one group of 544 and knew that was equivalent to 32 times 17. I think this one's really cool. Sorry. And here's one last way. So this student didn't like the problem 32 times 17. So they turned it into 32 times 20. And the teacher decided, okay, that was a big jump for the rest of the class, so she wanted to show the model of it. So you can see up at the top that she has 17 and then says plus 3. And she'll ask the kids, why am I doing this plus 3? And they'll make the connection, well, so-and-so turned it into 32 times 20. And then the student goes through the same exact, or a similar process to the first student who used place value. So they set up 32 times 17 equals 32 times 20 minus 32 times 3. Almost looks like algebra that they're doing in 3rd and 4th grade. Pretty cool. And then the student walked through the process of it. So she said 640, so she did 32 times 20 mentally. She was able to calculate that mentally, minus 32 times 3. And then she had a little issue. She got stuck with the 32 times 3. That wasn't as easy for her. So she changed that into, she was able to do the 32 times 3. She got 96, but she couldn't do the 640 minus 96 in her mind off the bat. So she decided to do 640 minus 100, which is over here, and then knew she needed to add the 4 back on because she really wasn't subtracting 100, she was only subtracting 96. And then she finished off the problem. So 640 minus 96 got her to 544. So that is a number talk. You would see all 3 of those strategies, students presenting those strategies, discussing those strategies, asking questions about those strategies in a given number talk that's 10 to 15 minutes long. These are some of the resources that we use for facilitating these number talks. A big one is called Number Talks, Helping Children Build Mental Math and Computational Strategies. And the second one is from Math in the City. Math in the City comes in kits, but they do have something that they call mini lessons. Theirs are they call them string talks, but they're very, very similar. So I just wanted to share those resources with you, since we're here to share best practices and great ideas. I don't know how much time I took or if anybody wants to ask questions, but that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Morgan. That was a great presentation. I actually needed you last semester when I was taking algebra. Thank you again for that presentation. Very inspirational. My name is Shimona Kirkland, and I have a son, you won't believe it, in Brooklyn Theater Arts High School, and I have a scholar at Achievement First Apollo Elementary School in East New York.
And I'm Mary Melendez. I'm a parent at Cookstar Elementary in Washington Heights.
We are parent organizers at Families for Excellence Schools. As Joe mentioned, we are a group of parents, educators, and organizers working to make sure that all children have access to a high-quality education in their communities. And the core of our work is that our belief is that parents are and could be the agents of change in their communities. As part of tonight's conversation, we want to quickly share with you how thousands of parents came together to work with FES to develop a set of policy recommendations for our next mayor. This past March, a group composed of thousands of parents who have children in district as well as public charter schools came together to work in our neighborhood chapters in the communities they live in, to talk about what they wanted from the next mayor. In April, we held parent town hall meetings in Harlem as well as Rockford-Stuyvesant to define the set of broad policy principles we were looking for from our next mayor and the candidates for mayor for this year. Community members were asked how they felt about the educational systems within their communities, as well as what they thought some of the challenges were. Through small group conversations and feedback sessions, we defined a set of policy principles that mattered most to the families we work with. Throughout May, parent leaders worked to refine these policies and into questions that were implemented during a planned parent-led mayoral forum in June.
This work all led to June 11th, when we held a mayor forum led by our parent panel to meet with candidates to hear what they had to say. And over 750 parents and all over the 5 boroughs attended.